Yeah, what's good, y'all? We back. Dum-dum-dum. Da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Y'all ready for the trial? I'm ready. Because it seems like we're in the climax. Why is it saying Sonic Frontiers? Alright, I sent everything out now. We are good to go. Good to go. Oh, let me shrink myself down a little bit. Continue. Right in the thick of it. Right in the thick of it. Zeke's is actually helping us out. He wants the truth as well. Cause Mrs. Garadeb here is fibbing. She fibbing. Alright. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Oh, look at them jiggle physics. Chin up, Johnny. Nothing to worry about. Oh, you're here. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? I'm glad the mark cleared up, cause that would have been damning evidence. But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume you're Mr. John Garadeb. Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, yes. Quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. I forgot his voice. The Battle of Garadeb. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. You know the reason. I can't stick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around the place. Can't say I'd noticed if One or two went missing, I'm afraid.
Deco!
That bally thing in the victim's back. Oh, Franziska von Karma. It's a shame you weren't in the. It's a shame you weren't in the Apologist saga. But thank you for following. Appreciate it. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Imagine Stink Meaner from Boondocks was an Ace Attorney. Boy, that would be a trial and a half. That would be a trial and a half right there. He would definitely fit in. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although, an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. Why does your motto look like it's high on dope? Shit, I don't know. I do got the lights out. Maybe that's why. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself, there's only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say, I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Von Zeeks may be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruto. Yeah, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Alright. We know why y'all were having a quarrel. Cause she thought you were cheating, but you weren't. Can't recall the reason. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garadeb. Rather passionate note, in fact. When Mrs. Garadeb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. You oh, damn, bro. You know a woman's wrath, huh? I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. Well, in this courtroom, we bring everything up, so fuck you. Besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway. A likely story. These waters run very deep. And what transpired next, after these multiple blows to the face? Knocked the candlestick over, set fire to the carpets, and headed out. But it wasn't just on the carpet, it was also on the bookshelf. And the fire, and the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. A most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water pump. during the day if you need any, you see?
The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although, a little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe.
The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off.
He's pretty broke. Have you actually seen the state of the man?
I believe he uses all of his income to buy books.
Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Hold it!
So reckless. Even though the room was on fire.
As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a suicidal takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
You're a liar. How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, cabbage, garlic, towel, and a sponge.
Fine.
Napkin? What's wrong?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Got some of that, sir? Yo, John. Don't shoot. Sorry. I beg your pardon? Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and fire poker, I seem to recall. Wow, ew! That's crazy. You were dead ass trying to kill him. Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct... Fuck it. Good grief, woman. We're not at home right now. This is a court of law.
Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear.
What's she even doing with a teapot in here?
Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of their soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I picked the thing up, it was broken in two. I like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see. The pipe was broken. I did mention that earlier. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now.
You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. Add it. Add it. Defense believes Mr. Garadev's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts may be broken. Very wise with words there. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps. Hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed. Common sense, one might say. Might one?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
She just asked a simple question. Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Apparently, it fell to the floor during the domestic abuse.
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruto.
No, that was help. That was helpful.
I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
No, it's fine. Thanks to Sue, we have some new evidence to work with. Examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Gerda. Now, if you could return to the quest of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife you used to attack the victim? Alright, let's look at that. Let's look. What's inside the pipe? Ooh, what is that? Glass? Oh. Something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it. Something's stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal.
Metal.
It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
Tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. Stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Gerda's. That's dangerous. You need to stop smoking this. Looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me. Like it's trying to shout a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Gerda's dressing gown.
I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Gerda, given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this.
Either that, or he can't afford to replace it. Wait, let me look at the metal. Look at that. This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Gerda's pipe.
It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
Tip of a blade?
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruto?
I don't really know. There's just something niggling at me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is.
Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again.
Good idea. Alright, what do we have? Because it's not the knife. It's not the knife. That's the book. Nothing in there. Okay, yeah, there's nothing there. I don't have anything else that's metal, really. I don't think we have it yet. Plenty of knives around, I can't say I knows.
Hold it!
Sorry? Would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, see? Pipes and whatnot, fishing tackle, you know the sort of thing.
It's a passion we both share. I like to carve little wooden trinkets too. And then there's my leather work.
Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place. And we have dozens of the things.
And they sell them at the market sometimes. 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snapped them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at mealtimes too, instead of a knife and fork.
Why would you use 2 knives? Now, John, we don't want people thinking I'm some kind of Here we go again with the scoldings. Why are they being so evasive?
I imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim.
Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir! If that belly thing in the victim back, if he was one of ours, you'll have the job proving it, I think.
Hold it!
So you have no intention of admitting it was your knife, unless we can produce proof. Hey, even though there's no other credible possibility if Miss Natsume's innocent,
Objection!
you forget, my Nipponese friend, that it is yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the event. As if I could forget that. If only there was some way to know who had handled the knife. I suppose wizardry like that is just a dream.
Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruto?
That would help. What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists?
Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin, or so they say.
But I can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation.
But for now, we shall have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion. That this knife found in the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Garredeb's house.
If only I could transplant this whole incident to several years in the future. Boy! Your one of your great-great-great-grandchildren will be doing that, for sure. That's the extent of their testimony, is it?
What do you think, Mr. Naruto?
Well, I think we heard all this before, to be honest. Can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony.
But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential that we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was, in fact, a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury.
If you could find even a shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything.
Yes, it would.
So, for Sosuke-san's sake, we must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Well, I think we got it. We do have it. Now, would it be this statement? Let me look at this thing again. The tip of a blade. Is it a scaling? It might be the scaling that's throwing me off. Maybe it is part of the knife. Can't find anything out of place. It might be the scaling. Yeah, that's cut off. Okay. See, I thought this was how the knife was the whole time. Okay, yeah. Let's go with it. Objection! Okay, yeah, we're right. Mr. Garrett, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but can't see a bally thing. You can't? You used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb back in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago. I'm old. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest.
Oh, he does, dearie me. It's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must be very dizzy. Haha.
What is that? A tiny scrap of metal.
Yes, almost certainly from a tip of a blade. And what may appear to be, at first, to be just tiny scrap, is in fact a crucial piece of evidence.
Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence?
It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got in there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? Maybe that's why she didn't get... Maybe that's why there's no blood on it. I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. You need a new bathrobe, bro. Your drawers is hanging out. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? The jackknife. Take that! This is the knife that was found on the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. Common issue with the inferior blades, so that's unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in the victim's bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber. Look like you got shot. Good grief! Udman Zeeks! I don't believe it! The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly, good gracious! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle. Savant Six has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. She threw a knife at your face, bro. Oh. Dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred, just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of Garrett's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Got him. Oh gosh. Oh dearie. Oh. No!
Objection!
Ooh. What you got to say about that? Got your wine back. A full body theory. I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to recreate an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling this argument. What? But after all, it is just a theory. A game theory. The battle I feared is court. Because you see, it's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. You have a way to come back from this? An insurmountable... What? Luvanzix, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have and identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. Yeah, in her... Oh, damn! That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. I'm just going to say the knife got sucked in her back. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife had struck her, that struck her had fallen from above. There's no possible way it could have planted itself in the victim's back. Order! Order! What was I saying before last stream? She reached below, the book fell down. She reached for the book, and the knife came down at the same time, as she was reaching down.
Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head.
Well, he's lost for words, look.
I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place.
I don't know, though. What really did happen? It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. No, it's not. We can come back. We can come back from this. We were so close. I could see the truth.
I was so sure we were on the right track. But no, the way has been blocked completely. By just one simple inconsistency.
No. Ryu, get your head in the game.
Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand. Sue, you mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. Key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
Yeah, you're right. It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
No, it's not. We're back at it, come on. This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. Lock in at the test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way it could have hit her from... There's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. Yes, sir. There you go. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness! Goodness! Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. Breathe in, breathe out. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece of the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare to at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... Are we just gonna say because she's plump? This has nothing to do with this. Are we just gonna say because the victim is big? Is that what we're saying? I'm throwing it. This is the final piece of evidence that defense will present. That's funny.
That answer appeared to make Mr. Gerda rather lightheaded. But Mrs. Gerda didn't bat an eyelid.
It would seem you've been cut down in your prime. Okay, that was wrong. I threw it. Oh. You must watch out for blades falling from the heavens, my learned friend. They may strike at any time. Not what you want to hear from the Reaper. If the knife fell straight down, it hit the victim in the middle of her back, then her back must have been facing the heavens at the time. But why? What could have happened that might place her in that position? The book. Okay, go for the book. The book. Okay, the book. I overthought it. I overthought it. I overthought it. The book.
Take that!
Yeah, there we go. I overthought it. So like I said, she reached down. She reached down for it. This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. Hey! The burnt book? Is that not Mr. Gerdev's book? Yes. To understand its significance, you have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. Okay, yeah, I overthought that. I overthought it. I was correct. But, as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. That doesn't matter. The book was still there. Quite so. As part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightened statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand?
Oh, well, sir.
Hold on.
Actually, okay, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
Yeah. In other words, the victim had already picked up the book of her own volition. Clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me.
We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Gerdedup household on the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yeah, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog. When all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw?
Yeah, Mrs. Gerdedup.
And what do you think what do you think she did?
What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, I can't really imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
You damn right. That's exactly what the woman did. She picked up the book.
Oh, heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, bam! The next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. Spinal. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was a defendant, Mr. Sosuke Natsume.
Well, I never!
It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and in the fog, he didn't see the knife falling from her. He didn't see the knife falling on her from above. From the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Got him. What do you have to say about that now? What you gotta say about that now? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb?
The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wonder if perhaps it might have been something like that.
There, old bean.
Poor Mrs. Garadeb.
No, poor her. Tell her to control her anger issues.
Huh. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw the knife as well. John, dear.
It's alright. I know.
I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry! Oh.
Good catch. Good shit, man. Poor husband. I feel bad for John instead of her. I feel really bad for him. This whole case has just been nothing but abuse to the men. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garadeb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. W. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her.
How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems.
Yeah, that is good news. So, Mrs. Sosuke Natsume. Yes? On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant Eastern Hurlland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. You apologize to me too. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mrs. Natsume. That evening when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead.
Yeah. Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed, too.
I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. Sure, there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Sosuke-san. His imagination really has got the better of him.
Yes, poor man.
So when
it happened. I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should have never dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. Wow. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. What a good man to apologize when he didn't have to. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were fooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zieks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh, praise? Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean whilst she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Thank you.
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 Not guilty.
Thank you. Hey! Very well. Mr. Soseki Natsume. I hereby pronounce you not guilty. W. Another successful trial. Well, it's only been 3 trials. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And you may never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a country courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Pretty nice. Another innocent man is free. 20th February, 3:17 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant antechamber. Oh, my little bank was in the way. You can go. Oh, locum. Hey, man. Wait. Oh, you mean me? Of course! Is there another locum around here? Is there even one? Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh!
At last I'm free, I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heavy, hearty, happiness, hooray!
Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted.
It'd be so hard to just say that then. No, let him celebrate, bro. Let him celebrate. He's an eccentric guy. He's gotta celebrate in an eccentric way.
Locum, you did it. You saved me from the brink.
Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everybody can see that now.
No, not that. Lovely, loyal, locum, lawyer.
Yes?
I mean, as I said before, I have just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners, see towering brick buildings, and from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Oh, got that little hunchback. Oh dear. I'm sure that's all in your head, Mr. Natsume.
No, it's not in his head. They're definitely saying that. Some of them, for sure. Did you hear what there's... Did you just tune out the whole courtroom, Sue? Did you just tune that all out?
But today, you, locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baryonical bench.
Baronial.
Before all those babbling British, you battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bedley's roof, I bellowed, "Behold, the best barrister ever born!"
Oh, that's very flattering. We're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. And an anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work?
There you are, my dear fellows. Huzzah! I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you.
What's up, man?
I see I'm here not a moment too soon. The disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh? The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruto. And I wish you the very best of luck.
What do you mean, trial? What happened? It's just finished.
What? No! Then my haste was in vain?
You were late. You missed the whole thing.
Ah, it's you. Sherlock Holmes. Oh? Have we met, sir?
How did you forget that fast?
This is Mr. Natsume? The man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom. Either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light.
Charming.
This is all your fault, Sherlock Holmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I am going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained her consciousness by now. Oh. But it was an unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience.
Is this to justify that you're only human for picking them?
I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing.
What a I didn't know you were a manipulator, Sholmes. Oh, priceless. Oh, I am sorry. Really, but you fell for that. Huzzah! That was quite priceless. Poor Sosuke-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Yeah, Lord Van Zeeks. The rumor about the curse afterwards. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be all right, Mr. Natsume. Huh? Excuse me. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Yeah! Why are you throwing me? Why are you throwing me? With a perfectly executed Susato takedown. Well, why am I the example? Much as I like being turned on my head. A bit warning next time. Bit of a warning. Might be nice, you know? So... So, Mr. Natsume, and my back isn't hurting no more. What do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back home? Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh! It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops, been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth and literature here and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That is not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my inside. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Sosuke-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? A week has not even passed yet since we arrived in Yelnin. And now, only now does it feel as though we have finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right. We need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated that we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you can take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? It could work out. You know, it could work out. But what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with floor, the ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? So you want to leave us with the curse? Mm-hmm. Oh yes. Tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. We'll think about it. That's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? If you're offering. Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. You're broke.
Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to taking lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome with four words.
So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. I guess we're living with a clown. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume, I insist.
I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Somebody's happy. We're getting a good meal.
Welcome. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But welcome. We'll meet again one day. Yeah, I'm sure. Hope to see you in the next game. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. W. You could write stories about me. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage awaits. Our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruto? Yeah, Sholmes, let's go. I have little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinners this evening. If he doesn't die on the way back. So, with Sosuke-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221 Baker Street. But what's about to happen? Oh, this is the attic. 20th February, 4:41 p.m. The attic room. Pretty spacious. So this
Is to be our new office. Yes.
our office? Office?
I really like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
Aww. Humble beginnings. I can see this too, Cass. It's only a small step. But I like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place?
Oh, look at you! Without the getup, you're a handsome lad.
You look less of a clown now. Mr. Sholmes. Yeah, thanks so much.
It's a delightful room. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner.
I forgot what voice I gave you.
We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. All right then, Susie, you can be in charge. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid.
And now leave the men with the men. So, Mr. Naruto, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. Can't help wondering what adventures awaits us. Adventures, you? No, that's me. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So once again, Mr. Naruto, welcome to London. It's the ghetto. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mrs. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. My turn to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. Oh boy. The end. Good case. Good case. Although, once again, don't abuse the men, please. There was a lot of abuse, and I did not like it. I did not like the abuse. Toxic relationships. Well, not really. That first one was toxic for sure. That one with the Rolly and Patricia, that was toxic. The one with Joan and John, that was just abusive. But yeah. The adventure of unspeakable story. We'll leave that one for next time. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Didn't we hear that name? We heard that name in a previous chapter, didn't we? It was a Russian? I think it was a Russian. I think. Okay. We're done here. We are done here.